Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the campus of Brevard College, live from Harvest Fest, a special edition of Tornado Talk. And the reason we're set up here, one, it's a festive atmosphere here at Harvest Fest as we celebrate this time of year, the fall season. But most importantly, from an athletic standpoint, the reason we're here tonight is a celebration for the Brevard College Tornadoes mountain biking team. The Tornadoes back from Big Bear Lake, California, where they competed at the 2019 Mountain Bike National Championships, and back here at Brevard College, and they were honored tonight for their incredible performance at the Mountain Bike National Championships. We'll be talking to many of those cycling student athletes this evening right here on campus at Brevard College, a special edition of Tornado Talk. Just to review, in case folks weren't aware of exactly what this team was able to accomplish at the Mountain Bike National Championships, 9 podium finishes, 16 top 10 finishes, a third-place result in the overall team omnium, and the individual Omnium National Championship went to Brevard College's Tyler Clark. That is for the best overall rider. So just a tremendous performance by the Tornadoes. And we'll be speaking to many of those Tornado student athletes as they are also here enjoying Harvest Fest. They were honored on the stage in between musical acts and introduced en masse. An outstanding group of student athletes under the guidance of head coach Brad Purley and assistant coach Cypress Gorey. You can see behind me mechanical bull, llamas, all sorts of animals in terms of, if that's what you're into, the fun carnival type animals, but just an overall festive atmosphere here, all sorts of great food and drink, as well as a beautiful evening here at Brevard College as fall has come here to the western North Carolina mountains. So it's great to be here with some tremendous student athletes as they start to make their way over here to our broadcast location. By the way, I want to thank Bill's Boiler House, which is the coffee shop on campus here at Brevard College. And that's where we're actually broadcasting from, the patio of Bill's Boilers House. If you're ever in the area and just need a, kind of a gourmet cup of coffee to maybe help you through your hike in the area or so forth, come on by Bill's Boiler House right here on the campus of Brevard College. They do a great job with all sorts of coffees and delicacies as Tornadoes continue to make their way here to the broadcast location. Stick around with us. We'll have plenty of guests in a matter of moments. All right, happy to be joined now by Tyler Clark, Carson Beckett, and Hannah Arnsman. Guys, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, a beautiful fall night, Harvest Fest at Brevard College, and I'm thrilled that we were able to, recognize you guys one last time for, your performance at the Mountain Bike National Championships. Tyler, we'll start with you because we did catch up with Carson and Hannah actually the night you guys got back.
Yep.
They came on the show, but do want to start with you, Tyler. You won the individual Omnium National Championship.
Yep.
I know there's more that goes into that than just, one individual rider having a great weekend. Can you talk about what that meant to you personally, but also how the, team helped you to that championship?
Yeah, so that was a pretty cool event. It's a kind of like combination of all 4 events throughout the weekend. So I'm mostly XC with Carson. So we raced together for XC and short track. So it was pretty cool riding with him, like motivating each other to push harder during that. And then dual slalom and downhill is kind of like not something we do every day, so kind of riding with each other, trying to learn how to do that and get better at that throughout the weekend, so it turned out well.
Carson, can you expound on that a little bit? XC being cross country and, short track, and that's, what you and Tyler specialize in. However, you guys really competed hard in those gravity events too, and, that ultimately made a difference in Tyler's individual Omnium championship, your place on the podium in the individual Omnium, and also the team Omnium result of a third place finish. Can you talk about the gravity events for you guys?
Yeah, exactly. We definitely don't specialize in that. There's a lot of guys from teams around the country that, they come there with that's their only purpose. They have one race, 2 races maybe, and they're gravity specific. So yeah, we needed to step up just for our own selves as far as chasing the Omnium, but like really, we were trying to fill the hole in our team and make sure we could do as best as we could to get gravity results for the team result. So yeah, it was like, at the time it wasn't stressful, but at the end of the day we were kind of thinking about it like, yeah, we've got some work to do to kind of hold up our end of the team event. So it was good.
Very good. And Hannah, a 5th place finish in the women's varsity individual Omnium, which, they actually podiums top 5 at the national championship. So congratulations on that. Can you talk about kind of overall how your weekend went up there in Big Bear Lake?
Yeah, it was a rather good week for me. Just some solid results. Got there the day before the races started. Had a long day in the airport the day before, so had to just kind of chill coming into it. Came to the XC, didn't see the course beforehand, so that first descent was rough. But yeah, I was stoked to be out there with the team, representing Brevard again, and yeah, helping to. We have mostly freshmen and sophomore girls on the team right now, so just helping them get oriented to the whole national schedule, because it is a bit hectic. So yeah, it was good to be out there with them.
Now, Hannah's from North Carolina, Carson's from Kentucky, but you, Tyler, are from Canada, Ontario, Canada, and you've competed in the World Championships for your home nation. I want to ask you this, because there's other Canadians on the team as well. What makes Brevard such a great place to go to school and be a collegiate mountain bike student athlete if you're from up there in Canada?
Well, as you probably know, it snows a lot of the year up in Canada, so riding down here is a lot better, especially in the winter. You can ride all year round here. And kind of in our province in Ontario, they send a team down here almost every year to train, like kind of February-ish. And I know Tyler was on that team. Tyler Orschel was on that team a few years. So he kind of met everyone here, kind of loved it here, and decided to go here. And then I guess I followed him here, and then Rochelle now here. It's pretty sweet.
And Carson, you and Hannah, seniors on this team, so you've been around and you've seen a lot of, cycling student athletes come and go, over your career. Same kind of question for you, perhaps if you were talking to a high school student who is proficient in mountain biking and he or she's considering schools, why come here to Brevard College?
Yeah, I mean, the location's everything. We have pretty much unlimited trails and training that are really top notch that a lot of places don't even have. And other than that, it's a small school, it's a personal school, and it makes it really easy to be a traveling cyclist. And the faculty here really respects the sport and are willing to help us travel and train and race and also go to school here. So it's like it was kind of a no-brainer for me. Is just like welcoming faculty, amazing area. With unlimited training and just the opportunity, to be in great weather. So
that leads me to this question for you, Hannah. So, if you go to the national championships, you'll see 2 categories of college teams. There's the club teams, which, interestingly enough, are oftentimes like the big state schools, and then there's the varsity teams, which are teams like Brevard College and several others, oftentimes smaller colleges, but the difference being these colleges treat the sport of cycling and mountain biking and the other disciplines like a varsity sport, the same way, you would handle a basketball team or a soccer team or a baseball team. Can you talk about that, how the benefits of being a varsity program here at Brevard College?
Yeah, definitely the support is everything. The community kind of backs us up a little bit more than, say, uh, state school, where cycling is just a side thing, where team members have to pay to be on the team and pay to get the jersey. This is more like you earn it when you ride, and you really are held to a higher standard. So there's more camaraderie around it, I feel, and yeah, um, there's a more quality work put into it too. People trying to figure out weekends and how to get to pro races as well as collegiate races. It's a little bit different because I think a lot of clubs, sports, they are just kind of getting into it. So cycling's a little bit new for them.
Now, Tyler, I'd like to get back to reflecting at, to the national championships at Big Bear Lake, and 3 of you are, 3/4 of that team relay team that finished second. Last event of the weekend, nerves are running high, and I know you guys got a great result, with the second place finish. Can you talk the audience through that team relay?
Yeah, so I started for the team in that, and it's just pretty much a full gas effort for, it was like 4.5 minutes-ish. So we started sprint first, this kind of a race to the first single track, and then me and the Fort Lewis rider just rode as hard as we could trying to get to the finish, and then handed it off to Carson, where he got us a pretty good lead for the third and fourth leg.
Very good. Any other thoughts on that relay? I know you guys, different roles in compared to what Tyler had.
Yeah, so I went out second at the same time as a Fort Lewis girl, and but it, like he said, it's just like you kind of sit at your pain tolerance as long as you can, because there's really no, it's not a log and XC race. It's just one lap under 5 minutes. So it's, and it was one big climb and one big descent. So you just had to remember, like, you're not racing the full time. Just get to the top as hard as you can. But yeah, and then we passed it on to Emma and then Hannah.
Yeah, and Hannah, compared to some of these past team relays, you didn't have to race 2 legs. You had the benefit of Emma running one of those legs, and you had the 4th leg, correct?
Yes, that was a huge difference. I think going up that hill, I had a lot more juice in the legs. I was still dying, but it was incredible not to have to think, okay, how do I pace this and scale it back so I can have energy for another lap. It's just like, no, just put your head down, go, and see where it gets you. And yeah, I was just full gas all the way up the hill. Unfortunately, the Fort Lewis guy passed me right near the top, and then I held it on the downhill. He actually kind of got a little wobbly there for a second.
Yeah.
I think he looked back, got scared, but had he crashed, I would have been right there. So, yeah.
All right,
Close.
Last thing for you guys. Next up, cyclocross. We turned the page from the mountain bikes to the cyclocross season. We had a great effort last year at the national championships in Louisville, a national championship in the team relay in cyclocross. But I know you guys are hungry for even more results. Can you guys preview and let the audience know a little bit about you all heading into cyclocross season?
Okay, so we're about a month and a half out now. We got a very similar team to we did last year, a bit more girls, which will be pretty key for that overall. And I think it's just between now and then, what can we do to get better? What can we do to practice for cyclocross? Because it's a totally different discipline, so this would be key, just getting into the different swing of things.
Yeah, it's a few of us took a little bit of a break after nationals and kind of resetting and getting ready to kind of ramp it back up and be in top shape if we can for cross. But yeah, it's a lot of technique based. There's no gravity events, so it's all into the 2 days that we're there racing or whatever. So, but we have a really good team and a big size women's field. So.
Yeah, and like they said, with the women's field being bigger this year, it's gotten to the point that even though only 3 score, it's important to have those other 3 slots taken, so 6 riders, because that takes points away from other teams. So that's really helpful. And then yeah, going into it, everybody's super stoked. Everybody's already trying to make a cross course somewhere out in the woods. So
Nice.
yeah, it'll be fun.
That sounds great, and we can't wait to see how that one shakes out all the way in Tacoma, Washington. So you guys
Yeah.
are going to have to make another cross-country trip, but I know you guys kind of eat that up too, you
For
know. Well, hey, Tyler, congratulations.
Thank you.
Individual Omnium national champion. Not that many people can say that, you know, and you're one of them now, so congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Carson and Hannah, congratulations on another great national championship run at the mountain bikes. And in front of this guy, I want to congratulate you on a great career, because senior year, you know, mountain bikes are complete. Time for cyclocross
Yeah.
and road, and it's just been a thrill getting to know you guys as student athletes, and great to have you on the show tonight. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Have a good one.
So Hannah Arnsman, Carson Beckett, and Tyler Clark, 3 key pieces to that mountain bike team that headed all the way to the national championships. As this next group comes on into our broadcast location, great to be joined now by Ryan Johnson, Hannah Dixon, and Michaela Gray. As the 3 of them get settled here in our broadcast location here at Harvest Fest. Guys, thanks for joining the show. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so Ryan, we'll start with you. First trip to the Mountain Bike National Championships, am I correct?
Yep.
Overall, how was the experience for you?
It was an awesome experience getting to ride with all those guys and being at the top level of the collegiate races, and it's fun. It's awesome.
And Hannah, you made your debut at the Mountain Bike National Championships last year.
Yeah,
So my question for you is, how did this year compare to last year when you went as a freshman?
it was a lot warmer. And then it was just a better race, I felt like. I really liked California more than Montana. And then I liked having all the girls on the team too. I know we talked about it before, but our team has really grown on the girls' side, so it was cool to have everybody out there.
Yeah, no doubt a great showing on the women's side of things. And Michaela, same question I had for Ryan. This was your first national championship. Can you kind of talk about the whole experience for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was so different just from like the collegiate races and then like from the regular nationals. It was kind of like a mix of just fun, and it was really awesome. And it was so much fun cheering for the team during the team relay, just like running around with cowbells. It was awesome.
Can you talk about that part a little bit, Ryan? Because, you know, one of the cool things I've noticed following collegiate cycling is, unlike maybe some of these other competitions where everybody's on as an individual, you know, this team setting that you guys have and the way you guys root for each other and how the team relay, it's often not just the ones on the course, but you guys make a difference as far as, you know, rooting them on, but also helping them with some, you know, valuable information to help them through the race, right?
Yeah, during the team relay this year, Tyler Miranda and I, he's a freshman, we took our shirts off and we were swinging them around and screaming at all the riders and telling them like the splits of where the other riders were behind them and in front of them, and that kind of made them maybe motivated or maybe mad at us, I don't know, but it made them faster, and it also let them know where other riders were on the course, so they could kind of base off their pacing off of that. So.
Now, Hannah, you mentioned you liked California more than Montana.
Yeah.
They're both really far away, and as a practical matter, you guys took a red-eye flight back here to, you know, the East Coast and eventually got here to Brevard College. And then once you got here to Brevard College, you know, I think Hannah described it to me as your driver missed a couple turns to go into the college and then suddenly went some back way, and there was a group here to, you know, to celebrate your arrival. Do you remember that? You know, with the caveat, you guys had just flown on a red eye, so I know you guys were probably half asleep.
So I'm going to be honest, I actually knew that it was happening.
Oh, okay, you got tipped off somehow.
Yeah, my roommate, she went on the Facebook page of Brevard College Tornadoes and saw it and then sent a screenshot to me. So I actually knew that it was happening. So, like, the whole drive, I was like, I knew it was coming.
Now, did you keep it
Yeah.
to yourself, though, or did you tell any of these guys?
Well, I was going to tell people, but then I fell asleep, so.
Very good. All right, Michaela, so how about the blow-by-blow of that for you?
Yeah, that was, I don't think I entirely knew what was happening. I was just like, we're at school, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, cool, there's people. Okay, I'm just gonna get out of the van. I'm just too tired to think about anything. I'm just like, okay, whatever. It was fun. It was really special that so many students came out to welcome us, though, even though I maybe couldn't appreciate it fully at the time.
Would like the audience to get to know you guys just a little bit better personally. Ryan, you're from Brookville, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Can you tell folks a little bit about where you come from and when you got into cycling?
Yeah, I grew up like an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I had an uncle that rode and raced bikes a little bit, and I kind of hung out with him a lot, and then he was kind of keen on getting me a bike and trying to race, and I started, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and won some races and decided I like winning and racing, so I just decided to keep going and brought me here, and we'll see where it takes me.
And Hannah, a lot of folks know that you're from right here in Brevard, North Carolina.
Yep.
Can you talk about your upbringing and what it feels like to be going to college and racing, for the hometown college?
So it's super awesome to race for the hometown college. I'm from here. My family's from here. We've been here for a very long time. My dad actually opened a local bike shop, Sycamore Cycles.
Yep.
They sponsor the team. So it's super cool to be close to home, where I have all the support that I would have had if I wouldn't have had this much support if I had gone somewhere else.
Awesome. I want to thank Sycamore Cycles for all their help with Brevard College Tornadoes. So, growing up in kind of a second-generation cycling family, do you remember how old you were when you first rode a mountain bike?
No, it's actually the third generation. My grandpa mounts bikes too.
Wow.
Yeah, he goes to Pisgah with us sometimes and rides with us. He actually opened the trails to mountain bikes.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow. So some deep history here in these western North Carolina mountains.
Yeah.
I love it, and it'll continue to get passed on, I'm sure. Yeah. Michaela, yourself, from Ocala, Florida. So kind of the other direction, where, the majority of the team is coming down here to get warm. You come up here to escape the heat to the mountains of North Carolina. Can you talk about kind of that transition for you coming from Florida to here in North Carolina?
Sure. It's so different. I've been texting my family all fall as it's getting cooler here and the leaves are changing. I rode up to the parkway the other day and then took a picture of all the leaves, texted a picture to my family, how is it? It's 85 degrees at home, having fun? But the mountains are so different too, because we just don't have that in Florida. We have good trails where I live, near the Santos trails, but this is just so different because it has the climbing added into. So it's been an adjustment getting used to that, having to climb anywhere, but I also get to go down, so it pays off.
Very nice. Well, Ryan Johnson, Hannah Dixon, Michaela Gray, congratulations on a successful run at the Mountain Bike National Championships. I have a feeling there's plenty more to come for you three, and you guys were a big part of that trip. 3 of those 12 who made the trip out there to Big Bear Lake. Cyclocross coming up next, then the road season in the spring. Can you guys share maybe your plans for those disciplines, if you have any, on cyclocross or road?
Yeah, I'm really into cyclocross racing, so hopefully we can try to do better in cyclocross this year. We got 3rd last year, so if we could win or at least get 2nd, that'd be awesome. And I dabble in road a little bit. It's pretty fun, but I'm not the best at road racing, but I'm definitely going to try that as well.
Yeah, I just started cyclocross last season, but I really enjoy it, so I'm excited for another season of racing. And then I just dabble in road too. I'm kind of like Ricky.
I'm excited. I've never done cross or road races, so I'm really excited for the cross season now. Working on getting the bike together and looking forward to it, trying something different.
Very good. Well, Ryan Johnson, Hannah Dixon, Michaela Gray, congratulations and welcome back to Brevard, North Carolina, and we'll see you for cyclocross season before we know it. Thanks again, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
So much.
All right, that was Ryan Johnson, Hannah Dixon, and Michaela Gray. 3 more of those Brevard College Tornadoes. As we continue to roll along here on this special edition of Tornado Talk. Great to have you joining us here from Harvest Fest. As our next guests head on over to the broadcast location.
I don't speak English. I only speak French. Oh boy. I only answer
as the Canadian contingent makes their way here to our broadcast location. All right. Joined now by Tyler Rochelle, Rochelle Pajot, and Tyler Miranda. Thanks for joining this special edition of Tornado Talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you guys enjoying this whole atmosphere we've got here at Harvest Fest?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, definitely the best day so far this year for me.
That's pretty good considering where you've been already.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Really cool atmosphere here. This is awesome to have everybody just chilling out.
Nice. Well, do want to catch folks up on the Mountain Bike National Championships from your perspectives. And we'll start with Tyler. He's kind of the veteran of this group we've got here. Tyler, overall, both for you and then for the team in general, can you talk about how this Mountain Bike National Championship went?
Yeah. So the first event was the cross country, which is it's normally my staple event that I really focus on. This year, I came in pretty tired from my summer season, but I took some.
And real quick, can you catch folks up with just kind of the highlights of that summer season, because it was substantial for you?
Yeah, it was a great summer season. I spent a couple weeks over in Europe racing some World Cups, and getting to race that European field was a game changer for me. And then when I came back to North America, it just led to a whole new level for me. And then through that, I qualified for World Champs, which were in Canada, which was really cool. And there I placed 27th in the under-23 men's. So that was definitely the highlight of my season. And then just the next weekend after that, came back to school for a week, and then went back to West Virginia for the World Cup final, where I finished 21st. And then the next weekend was straight into collegiate racing. So coming into nationals, I was pretty tired, but still really excited to go race out in California. So I ended up 10th in the cross country, which was a little lower than what I was hoping for, but it was still a solid result, and my goal was just to build off that the rest of the weekend. And then this year, just like last year, I decided to race the Omnium and race all 4 events for the school. And this year was different because our 3 cross-country riders, myself, Carson, and Tyler, that were racing Omnium, were our only riders in the dual slalom and the downhill on the men's side. So we had some added pressure on us, which was super cool. So I focused a little bit more on those downhill events this year, which was kind of took the pressure off the cross-country events, which was kind of cool. And in the dual slalom the next day on Saturday, I ended up finishing, I made it through the first round of qualies, which I didn't make through last year, so that was good. And then I got eliminated, but got some valuable Omnium points. And then that same day in the short track, I finished 6th, which was good. It was better than the cross country. I felt better. I felt like I was more in my rhythm. And then the final day for me was the downhill, and I laid it all out there, made one mistake, but still came through in 17th, which was a lot better than last year. So I feel like I definitely improved on my downhill abilities this year.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We talked to Tyler, Clark, and Carson a lot about them racing on the gravity events as well, and how that all helped get that Team Omnium result, and also Tyler Clark's individual national championship. Now, Rochelle, you've got a lot of experience on the scene of mountain biking, and you've raced all over the world yourself.
Yep.
However, this was your first collegiate national championship experience. Can you talk about that as someone who's been around the scene so much, what it was like to race in the collegiate national championships and for a team like Brevard College?
So cycling is a pretty individual sport, but going to collegiate nationals with the Brevard team, it's so different because it feels like a team sport. Because there's everyone doing almost every event, especially this year, and there's so much going on all weekend. It's always busy everywhere in the house or at the venue. So it's really crazy weekend, but it's so fun. It went by so quickly. It was great to be part of the team and have support and have all the other racers also racing, and then the coaches. It was really great.
Outstanding. And Tyler, yourself, this was your first collegiate national championships, but just like Rochelle, you've been around the scene quite a bit, throughout your upbringing. Can you, from your perspective, what it was like to race at the collegiate nats?
It was definitely a really cool experience. It was like nothing that I'd ever experienced before. Is it good? All right. Yeah, like I was saying, it was a really cool experience. Like I've been to national championships before, like just gone by myself, and I've never had a team atmosphere like that. So to be able to be around everybody all the time is really cool, really different.
Nice. Now, Tyler, can you talk about this year's team in particular? Because like we said, you're kind of the veteran, in some ways, and you've been around your share of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about this year's team and sort of the chemistry and the dynamics of it, and what kind of the strengths of this year's team might be?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest strength of this year's team would be just the camaraderie between all the riders. We have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that make up most of our team. Just a couple of seniors, and me and Nicole are the only juniors on the team this year. So I'd say just the camaraderie between the riders that have been around for a long time, and then the freshmen that are just joining the team definitely makes our program pretty special.
Yeah, it's a real nice blend of veterans and also newcomers, and also a nice balance of men and women, and that helps with that Team Omnium result as well. Rochelle, now you're a gravity specialist, downhill, dual slalom, this is your sweet spot. Can you talk about what it's like to be a gravity specialist, and how much work it takes to focus on those events in particular?
I was actually a XC specialist before, so I raced XC World Cups for 4 or 5 years, and then only 3 years ago I switched to gravity. So I've seen both sides, and it's definitely really different. Some people assume that the gravity side we train less or we work less hard because we just go down the hill, so it's easy.
Right.
But I would say it's just as much work. It's just very different kind of work. Like we don't do as much intervals or as much long rides, but we have to do so many laps and so many laps of the same track, and then go to a different one, and then so it's also a lot of work. It's long days on the bike. Cause let's see, at a bike park, you might spend 6 hours at the bike park just doing laps and then going back up and doing more laps. But honestly, I love it. I think it's so much fun, and even if you're a whole day of doing laps, it's so much fun that you don't see it as work. So yeah, I'm really enjoying gravity now, and it's paying off, so it's great.
And Tyler, do you have a preferred event on the mountain biking side of things?
Yeah, the cross-country events are usually what suits me the best. I do cross-country and short track. Short tracks, it doesn't suit me as well. It's something that I'm looking to improve on for next year. But yeah, the cross-country races are definitely more my cup of tea.
And again, reflecting back to Big Bear Lake, this was a very challenging cross-country course, and it was, day one, event one of the weekend, and some serious elevation that you guys had to conquer on the way up. Can you tell folks a little more about that course?
Yeah, so the course was about 8.5 miles. The men's varsity did 3 laps, and then the women's varsity did 2. But yeah, it was a really hard course. Obviously, just racing at elevation alone is hard enough. We were at about 7,000 feet in Big Bear. And then the course had, about right at the start, about 4 miles of climbing. And then each lap there was about 1,300 feet of climbing. So a big climbing course, which I think was better for me personally. So yeah, that was a very challenging course for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And Rochelle, can you describe the downhill course that they had here? Because you've seen your share of downhill courses.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of them are on ski resorts down, the slopes that folks would ski on. Can you describe the one at Big Bear Lake from a downhill perspective?
Yeah, so the downhill track at Big Bear was slightly different than the typical World Cup track or the professional tracks. It was on a slightly easier track, but it was really fast and lots of like super loose corners and tight corners. So, and it was also pretty long, so it was like about 5 minutes or almost 5 minutes. So it was a really challenging track because especially at race speed, you don't notice until you're in your race run and you're like, whoa, this is a really long track, and I'm like a minute in and I'm already like feeling exhausted from pedaling. So it was a pretty hard track physically, but a bit easier on the technical side. But since you were going faster, it became also tricky because you have to be really careful about those sandy corners to not just blow out and mess up your run.
I see you nodding your head, Tyler. You remember a couple of those features or challenges of that downhill course?
Yeah, the mistake I made was I came out of a really high-speed section down this steep ramp, and it was a feature where you G'd out in the bottom of it, and then it was a lip at the top that dropped again into a big, like a big roller, and I just caught way too much air. It bucked me off the top. I rode the front wheel down the drop, and then I landed like off the trail. It was like this like brick concrete kind of built up berm thing. And luckily I didn't crash there because that would have hurt a lot. But then I kind of like skirted into the pine forest for a second and then got back on the trail. Didn't lose too much time, but I was just happy I didn't kill myself.
Sound like quite the adventure, Tyler. I'm glad you're here in one piece as well. Before I let you go, Tyler, again, you know, as someone who's been around here at Brevard College for a little bit, I'm going to ask you a question I asked one of your teammates earlier. If you were talking to a high school student, you know, back in Canada, and you were, you know, telling them, giving them some advice as far as where they might go to college to race collegiate mountain biking, but also the other disciplines, what would be kind of your, you know, selling points on why Brevard College would make sense for that student?
I would definitely say that if they want to get fast and they want to have a lot of fun racing collegiate, then Brevard is like by far the #1 place to be. You know, there's other bigger schools that have big cycling programs and bring tons of riders to nationals, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's making them better riders when they leave the collegiate race season. And I think that Brevard, the atmosphere that we have here, definitely helps breed better athletes and keeps it fun in like what is a lot of professional racers off season in the fall. So I think that's super important for collegiate to not be like overly serious, but at the same time to provide a lot of opportunity for growth and getting better.
And Rochelle and Tyler, you know, you two have just been here for a couple months now, but you know, certainly quickly, almost like a baptism by fire thing. We get you out there at the national championships and so forth. Now that you've been here for a couple months and you're, you know, officially a member of the Brevard College Tornadoes, how's it been for you here at Brevard College?
Honestly, I was really surprised how welcoming everyone was. Like, not only the cycling team, but the whole, like, all the students and the staff at Brevard were extremely welcoming. Like, I got at the school a week later, so I missed, like, the, you know, when you move in and get the tour and everything. So at first I was like, oh my god, I just jump in here, classes started. I haven't moved into my dorm, but everyone was so welcoming. Like, even students from the team that I'd never met before, they just walked by and I was like, do you need help moving in? Do you need help looking for things? And I was like, wow, people are so nice. It's incredible. So it felt like a family from like day one. So that was really the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, really about the same for me. It's really astonishing how close I've been able to get with everybody on the team, like, already. That was one of my, like, what I was kind of nervous about coming in, like, wasn't really sure how the team dynamics were going to, like, play out, like, you know, just like general nerves of starting college and everything. But yeah, once I met everybody and got to know them more. It's really played itself out great.
Very good. Well, Tyler Miranda, Rachelle Peugeot, Tyler Orschel, congratulations on a great run at the Mountain Bike National Championships. Welcome back here to Brevard College, and we'll be following you guys through the cyclocross and road seasons as well. Thanks for coming on the show. Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
All right, Tyler Orschel, Tyler Miranda, and Rachelle Peugeot. Great to have them on the program. As this special edition of Tornado Talk continues on, it's been great to talk mountain biking with this crew, and we'll continue. We're actually going to have the opportunity to talk to all 12 of the mountain bike student athletes who competed in the national championships. And see who we've got next year. And going to have a special guest next year, I believe. As I'm glad you're able to join us here. What you see behind me here is Harvest Fest at Brevard College.
Not too close, right?
And speaking of Brevard College, very pleased to be joined now by the president of Brevard College, David Joyce.
Thank you, Phil.
President Joyce, thanks for coming on this special edition of Tornado Talk.
Well, I'd like to do it. You should do it more often.
Well, we're thrilled to be here at in this atmosphere here at Harvest Fest, and where we're able to honor the Brevard College cycling team coming off their performance at the Mountain Bike National Championships. Can you talk about, first, big picture, how important this team is to Brevard College?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's one of the things that we're known for. And when I go anywhere I go, they know how to pronounce the word Brevard. Not Brevard or any of that. They know it's Brevard. And a lot of that's because of where our team has been and all over this country and actually in the world. I mean, we had 2 kids participate in the World Cups at UCI this year. So, yeah, it's a great thing. It helps profile the college. They do real well. They represent the school very, very well. And as a mountain biker and a former racer, I'm just proud as a papa for all that they've done. And they show. And the other thing, as long as you got me talking, they always show class. Always show class. We've gone to when they were racing in the East a couple years ago, the Nationals. My wife and I were able to go, and our team always showed class. And that represents the college well.
Well, I was talking through with a couple of the student athletes, the differences between a club cycling program and a varsity cycling program. And Brevard College, of course, a varsity program, treating it like the same way you would treat a basketball team or a soccer team or a baseball team. That team unity, the full-time head coach, the uniforms, the travel, all those things, and really the student athlete experience as a result of all that. Can you talk about, sort of Brevard College and their decision to have a varsity program?
Well, it's an interesting. I've only been here 8 years, and they've had the program for longer than that. But my own personal DNA, my wife and I raced. My wife and I was president of a college in Wisconsin, Union College, which we started a mountain bike intercollegiate team and a varsity program with a coach. In fact, Lynn was and my dean of students here now, Debbie Dana, were the first coaches of the Union team to get it started. And then Lisa McCrae kind of looked at our program, tried to emulate it, and they got it started. And then Brevard, I was still at Union, but Brevard looked at Lisa McCrae and did that. So coming back to Brevard, I kind of take some responsibility and credit maybe that it came through the DNA from that aspect. But there are 2 kinds of mountain biking and other cycling in the cycling world teams. There's those that are club sports. There's a lot of schools that have club sports, and they get some support from the university or the college. We give full support. Our team, like I said, we have a full-time coach. Actually, we have a full-time coach and an assistant coach. We support it, and just like any other team. And of course, they get to travel further away than a lot of the other teams because that's the way the sport operates. But we also, Philip, live in the epicenter of mountain biking, and so we have a natural attraction. People come here for recreation and for other races, and to be able to have a team that can represent the college in this community and the community embraces this is a wonderful experience for the student and for the college.
Yeah, and some academic offerings that are particularly good fits for the outdoorsman, the mountain biking type. In particular the Willie program here at Brevard College.
Well, yeah, and it does attract a number of students, both on the cycling team and obviously off the cycling team. The Wilderness Leadership Experiential Education Program, it's one of the first in the country, and it has always done very, very well for folks who are interested in outdoor recreation, outdoor business, and the other kinds of things that fit with the outdoors. And again, living with the Pisgah Forest and the DuPont in our backyard and the gorges, it's a great area to do that. A lot of our folks come out of that program, and like I said, go into retail. We have lots of park rangers, guides. We have a number of guides already in Alaska and such. So it attracts. But what's interesting about the cycling program is it attracts students from all over the country and actually all over the world. Our program has developed a really wonderful worldwide attention, and we had students represent us from all over the world, because if they want to race, this is the place to be able to do that. We have a great program, great area, and great results. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. We have, 9 national championships?
10-time national champion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've been here 8 years, and I think 6 of them have come since I've been here. So of course I take full responsibility. No, it's a program that's come into its own, and it's nice to see. And when they were racing in nationals this year, we were going up against 2. We came in 3rd nationally against 2 large state-supported institutions, and this is little old Brevard College in Brevard, North Carolina. We hold our own and we do well, and we had a national champion this year too. And we always we have a lot of stars and striped jerseys, and it's a tradition to give the president the stars and striped jersey signed by the team when you win a national championship. We won so many. I finally said I don't have any place to put them. I got a couple. That's enough. I'll frame them and put them on my wall. But
what a good problem to have.
I was going to say, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun? And but of course I'm kidding a little bit, but it's a great program, and it does represent us well. And the other side, if you look at the our athletic program in general has a higher GPA than the school as a composite. So we really take academics seriously, and the mountain bike team is one of the better athletic teams with a team-wide GPA. So we pay attention to those kinds of things. Because these students travel. Sometimes they have to miss class, and they're responsible for catching up and making it work. And our faculty is very, very open and helpful to them to make that work up. So it does expand the student experience, and that's what's important to us.
And back to the mountain biking, as someone who enjoys the sport himself, and you reside here on campus just like these students do,
right?
And I
can throw a rock at my house from here almost.
That's right. And I talk to these student athletes, and they talk about literally rolling out of their dorm, taking a short ride from here and hitting the trails, whether it's Pisgah National Forest or DuPont State Park.
Or
Can you affirm that for us?
Well, absolutely. Well, both those are a little bit longer ride, but if you look over your right shoulder, Philip, there's a little mountain over there.
Yep.
Called Bracken Mountain, and that's a mile and a half away, and it's a great mountain bike trail, and it's a grueling climb, and but you get on your bike and you ride. Don't even put the bike in the car to go to the trailheads. But and Pisgah's very, very close, and DuPont's not too far away either. So yeah, there's a lot right here, and there's a lot in the whole Western North Carolina region. But this is kind of the epicenter. People come. I've met so many interesting people on the trails that we've gotten involved with the college, and it's location. Real estate says location, 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 and we have that, and then we have the program to make that work. So I don't see anything else but keep going more and more. The only thing is the shirt's got so many national championship numbers on the back. I don't know. I'm gonna have to gain some weight and get a bigger shirt.
That's right. Well, do also want to mention there's one other sport here in the Brevard College offerings, which is climbing.
Yeah.
And there's not many schools that can claim a varsity climbing program. Brevard's one of the very few in that department, and again, a fit as far as this part of the country in the Western North Carolina mountains.
Yeah, that was interesting. It kind of came about. That was only about 5 years ago since I've been here that we talked about, because we had so many students that were climbing and so many students that were climbing competitively, and one of our faculty members actually owns a climbing gym in town, and he was being very generous to let them to work out there for next to nothing or nothing, and there is competition, and there are schools. It was like one giant club sport. But there are some schools that actually sponsor, and so it really follows the same pattern as the cycling team. So it's still in infancy. I said we've had it at the varsity level 3 or 4 years now, but a number of students are doing it, and they're representing us well too. And for me as the president, it also gives a sense of people understanding our brand, that we're very, very much about experiential education, which is hands-on reflective learning, and virtually every sport is hands-on, reflective learning. And so as you expand the athletic programs and you expand the kind of experiences students can have, it translates to being good students in the classroom as well. And climbing is a very unique sport, and it's a very like cycling. You have to be in great shape. You have to be very. It's very taxing, and it's something that you don't think cycling you're just out riding. No, it's very much strategic, and so is climbing. I've learned a lot by watching the climbers, and it's fun. It's exciting to watch them, and they take their sport very seriously. And our coach Travis is doing a great job. So, if somebody's out there listening and said, I kind of want to go to a really cool school and have different opportunities, I can tell you, you pick the right place if you pick us.
Well, just a couple more for you, President Joyce. One, I do want to talk athletic department as a whole. It's been an exciting fall. Football started 3-0, real fast start from them.
Best start we've ever had in the history of football here.
That's right. You can't get much better than that. Men's and women's soccer both having sensational seasons yet
both
again.
Both are running fourth in the conference.
We've got a cross-country runner who's going to make some noise at the USA South Conference Championships. And, we've, of course, had some great history in cross-country, but kind of big picture, but just focused on athletics. Then we'll get into the college as a whole.
Yeah.
Can you kind of comment on where Brevard College is athletically?
We made a decision about exactly 4 years ago to go Division III. The best small liberal arts academic colleges out there are Division III, and it's considered non-scholarship. All students are treated the same, and they have limited off-season opportunities to play their sport, so they can be involved in other things. We have 750 students, so if students are totally myopic on one thing and that they do, they kind of miss out on all the other opportunities that the college like us can offer. And so Division III allowed us that opportunity, and we weren't so competitive as a Division II school. Now we're forced to be reckoned with, and next year we've gone through they call it a probationary period. This is last year. They waived our last year probationary period. So next year we'll be fully competitive in our conference and in Division III of the NCAA. And if this year is a good forecasting of what we're going to do, next year we're going to scare some folks because we really, really are doing well. And I would say this, and because it's true, and the key is always, when we've made the decision to move to Division III, one of the things I used to be on the President's Council of Division III, it really is an interaction with the college, the coach, and the athlete. And I knew that we would have to get the right kind of coaches, and we have. These coaches they understand that they're teachers, and they take their jobs very seriously. They recruit really good athletes, and they do it with class, and then they go to class. And given all that, these students will graduate with a good degree from a good college and had a great time in the process of earning that degree. The other thing, I always do this when we interview coaches. When we were interviewing coaches as we moved to Division III, of course, I know they heard that I would ask the question, but they knew the right answer. I said, what's the most important thing you can do as a coach? They said, graduate our students. I said, right answer. And our graduation rates at Brevard College and our athletic program are pretty much right there with the best of any schools, and that's because the coaches take it seriously, and that's what's important. This is an educational institution, and their job is to get educated and to graduate. And everything that we do, for athletics or arts or anything, the performance, whatever the students. Student government, whatever the students get involved in, everything's an opportunity to learn, and everything is an opportunity to help them grow as future citizens of this country or other countries. And that's in our mission statement. We want folks that are really going to go out there and help create a better world for the rest of us. And it sounds highfalutin and lofty, but presidents do that kind of thing, but we take it seriously.
before I let you go, President Joyce, I know it's an exciting time overall for the college as a whole. You know, the big enrollment numbers, all sorts of facility upgrades. Can you let our audience kind of know where the college is, generally speaking?
Yeah, we've been growing for the last, actually, off and on, for the last 8 years, and as we transferred to Division III, but we've been growing exponentially the last 3 years. And this year was really, well, we've broken all records, the largest the college has ever been, best we could figure out, in 166 years. We will continue to grow, and we're going to build a new residence hall. We're going to move some things around and add some more rooms. But we're looking right now to cap out in the mid-800s. We get beyond that, we have to really think carefully. You never say never, but we feel the kind of experience we give our students is a lot related to size. So we can make the model work at about in the mid 800s, and we have the capacity, and we're growing some more. We're building some things, and as you mentioned, we have a number of things that we just found out that a loan that we're working on has been approved, and it looks like it'll be approved. So yeah, we're going to grow. We're going to fix things. We're going to add some more facilities, but we're not looking to become big. It's not who we are, and what a lot of what we are about is also being a partner with this community, and the college is literally in the middle of town, and it's just we're partners, and we want to make that happen. So you ask where we're going. We're going to grow probably 50 students, 25 to 50 more students over the next 2 to 3 years, and then kind of cap it at that, and see where that takes us. But we think we get much beyond that. We're going to lose what makes us special.
Very good. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, President Joyce, for all your support of the Department of Athletics and for this wonderful cycling team. It was great to have you on the show tonight to kind of let folks, inside a little more as far as what's going on at Brevard College. And yeah, it's been a blast here at Harvest Fest. Thanks for joining
really
the show.
Fun. Phil, thank you, and thank you for being here. SIDs are an important component of what we do. To tell, we concentrate so much what's going on inside the walls, even though we took the walls down, that sometimes we forget that it's also as just important what we say outside the walls, so that folks know who we are, what we do, and what we do well, and the things that we're working on. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate the work that you're doing, but don't take it for granted.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, President Joyce.
You.
All right, President David Joyce, great to have him on the show. And we'll keep on rolling on as we'll talk to some more of these student athletes. As this special edition of Tornado Talk just rolls on and on. As our next guest gets settled here. All right, joined by Nicole Rusden, Emma Schwab, and Eliza Tobias. I'm sorry. We're on like guest 13, 14, 15. We would have loved to have you guys at the start of the show, but it's just like there's that many like cool guests to have on tonight. Plus, I have got no excuse because Eliza came on the show the other night at Dugan's Pub. So sorry, broadcaster just space out moment, But anyway, ladies, thank you for being here. Thanks for being patient until your turn came up here on the show. Before we get into the Mountain Bike National Championships, can you talk about kind of tonight, Harvest Fest? Have you guys had fun at this event?
Mm-hmm. Especially since it's Emma's and I first time here because we're freshmen. It's been a fun experience. A little colder than expected, but...
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, so I'm enjoying it.
So, Nicole, can you tell folks, what is going on behind us? What are all those offerings and tents and stuff?
So once a year, our college has a harvest festival to celebrate fall, and we have a bunch of different foods, food trucks, a bunch of llamas, some more animals. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's right, folks. You heard that right. Llamas here at Brevard College. Okay, so y'all came back from the Mountain Bike National Championships. You've been back here about a week or so now, so your land legs are hopefully coming back and that kind of thing. Just like to go down the line. Eliza, we'll start with you. It was your first national championship on the collegiate side. How was the overall experience for you?
Overall, I thought it would be very overwhelming, but when we got there, we went through the courses, we talked about strategies and just really worked things out as a team, and it somehow got calmer, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, going to the start line with 60+ women was very intimidating because not a lot of fields are that big, especially at nationals. But overall, the team, I think, worked together very well. We all get along and had a really fun time, and we had really good results, so that's something to be proud of.
And Emma, same thing for you. You know, first time at the national championships. How was the overall experience?
It was wonderful. I really had a fun time with the whole team. I was super excited to go, to California, a long ways away, and race with everybody. It's so nice to have such a strong women's group too to be able to ride with. It was just amazing.
And Nicole, I asked Hannah Dixon this question because you were at Montana last year.
Yeah.
How was that compared to this time around?
Actually, the courses were a little bit similar, in my opinion. Out west, it's dry and loose, but California was at higher elevation. We were at 8,000 feet at the tip of our race. So.
Very good. Now, Eliza, I would like, even though you were on the show the other night, in case folks were watching, folks to get to know you a little better. You're from Fleetwood, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Can you talk about how you found Brevard College and ultimately wound up here as part of the cycling team?
Well, I went to Killington Mountain School for my high school career, and Tyler Clark also went there. So that was I knew he went here, so I knew somebody, and I knew he was an extremely strong rider. So if he chose Brevard, I knew that it'd be a good option to choose it too. And then when I went to cross nationals in Kentucky this past winter, we parked right next to the Brevard team, and we had a few conversations. And even though I only got to visit the school once in February, just from talking to the team and just seeing the riders that they could produce, I knew that I wanted to go here.
Very good. And same question for you, Emma. You arrive here to Brevard College from Traverse City, Michigan.
Yes.
How'd you find Brevard, and you pleased with your decision?
Yes, I'm very pleased with my decision. I was looking for schools with a mountain biking team because Michigan doesn't have too many, and we don't have very much terrain. So I was looking for terrain, and Pisgah is amazing. So I visited in the spring, and it's amazing that I'm down here now, and I'm so happy that I'm here. It's been awesome.
And Nicole, you're the veteran of this group that we're talking to here. Can you talk a little bit? And I did hear it mentioned, kind of the uptick on the women's participation on the cycling team, and how strong the women's side is getting. Can you talk about how things have changed, since you first arrived here at Brevard College, and where the team's kind of going?
When I first arrived at Brevard College, I transferred in from a school, and I actually missed the mountain bike season my freshman year, but my sophomore year, we had just me, Hannah Arnsman, and Hannah Dixon, and it was just us. So when we went to nationals, we had to do all the events, and it was a lot of pressure. If one of us messed up, it was on us. We only had 2 girl riders. But now we have such a bigger group, and it's cool because it pushes us all to go a little bit faster, and we get to ride together a lot, and I'm just stoked to have so many girls to ride with.
Awesome. Now, Emma, you were part of that team relay team that finished in second place, and
Yes.
Hannah Arnsman was so thankful that you were part of that team because she didn't have to run 2 legs this time around. I asked your teammates from that team relay how it kind of went from each of their perspectives, but can you reflect back on how that race went from your perspective?
Yeah, so when I started, it's very nerve-wracking standing there waiting for your teammate to come around. You're watching, and we were in second. Well, we were in first for a while, so it was very nerve-wracking. And when I finally got to go, it was just, you put the hammer down and everything out. And when you finish, you can't stand up. That's how hard you push. And it's just so much fun. I think that's one of the best events of nationals. So, yes.
And Eliza, the cool thing about these team relays is kind of the rest of the team, So in this case, there were 4 racing in the event. There was another 8 of you supporting,
Yep.
And it's not just like, hey, go, kind of thing. Like, you guys are like in the middle of it, giving them, tips and, kind of coaching them along in a lot of ways, along with your coaches who we're going to talk to next. Can you talk about the team relay from your perspective?
It was a really hype situation. We all just there was a hill and there was switchbacks up. That was most of the climb. So we all stationed ourselves. So we were each at a section of the switchback. So one we'd cheer and then run up to the next one, and then they trade off. So everyone, there was always someone there at each part of the climb. which hopefully helped. I know we all had cowbells, and everyone was all over the course, and it was just incredible to watch.
Nicole, I see you nodding your head, as Eliza's describing that. Any particular memory from that team relay day?
I think it's just as fun to watch as it is to race it. Emma put out a really strong effort. We were all really proud of all of our teammates. So, yeah, nothing more to comment. It went great.
Nice. Last thing before I let you all go, cyclocross is coming up next. I see Eliza nodding her head because, am I correct? That's sort of your specialty, right?
Yeah.
Emma, do you have much experience in cyclocross?
Not very much. I've only done 2 races, but I'm super excited to be able to race cyclocross finally.
And Nicole, you got your feet wet, kind of literally speaking, because part of cyclocross is like, getting down and dirty and muddy or in the snow or whatever last year, correct?
Yeah, last year was my first season doing cyclocross, and I'm really excited to do another season with a little more skills on my back.
Okay, so Eliza, as the veteran of the group in terms of cyclocross experience, and perhaps for other members of the team, who might be giving it a shot for the first time, what's the key to a successful cyclocross racer?
I think the main thing, especially when you're starting out, is just to remember that cyclocross is generally just a fun race. So even if you're having a bad day, if you just focus on the course and just having fun in certain sections, but there's always going to be sections that are downhill or turny, and you can just focus on that besides maybe the suffering in the power sections. If you can just find sections to have fun in, it'll eventually the whole entire race will just become fun.
Very good. Well, we're really excited because there's actually an event fairly close to us here in Hendersonville that, Brevard College is, sort of like one of the hosts of and that kind of thing. And last year, a bunch of us were planning on going down there. Most of us in this area were snowed into our homes, like we couldn't even get there. This year, hopefully things will be a little more mild and we can see you guys in action over there in Hendersonville, and want to encourage folks to, check out the sport of cyclocross. It's great for the spectators, right?
Yeah, people can watch from the whole course.
Yeah, very cool. Well, ladies, thank you for joining the program. Thanks for staying up late. They're starting to shut down the mechanical bull behind us, amongst other, packing up and that kind of thing. But congratulations more than anything. Nicole, on another trip to the national championships. The two of you, successfully completing your first national championship, and we're just thrilled to have you all as, student athletes here at Brevard College.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All right, very good. Thanks for joining the show. So that was Eliza Tobias, Emma Schwab, and Nicole Rusden. Great to have those student athletes on the show. And we will cap off tonight's program with the conversation with the coaches from Brevard College cycling program. Head coach Brad Purley and assistant coach Cypress Gorey. Fellas, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, they're starting to shut down the mechanical bull. The llamas are on their way home, but we're still here talking cycling, and it's been a fun evening. Coach Brad Purley, we'll start with you. Can you kind of talk about, tonight and, what it meant to the, cyclists to be greeted by the Brevard College Tornadoes community?
Yeah, Cypress and I have been talking about that ever since we get back from Mountain Bike Nationals, the trip, when we get back from California, and having a bunch of students and staff and faculty out to greet and congratulate them and acknowledge them, despite the fact we hadn't slept that whole night, all the way up through this event here. It's fantastic, and it's certainly none of it is taken for granted, and it's very, very much appreciated, and it's something that it's really gratifying for Cypress and I to see from a coaching role, to be able to see our students receiving recognition, just acknowledgement for their hard work. It's a group of students that is very humble, but they work extremely hard, and it's really neat to see because they don't expect anything, they don't request anything. They could get nobody could make any comment to them and we wouldn't hear about it, but you can tell how excited they are to be able to celebrate with the community, because that's what they want it to be, and we want it to be victories and successes for the institution, for the athletic department, for all of us. So it's really been a huge
huge thing and very gratifying and exciting too for us to see how excited everyone is. They can share in their excitement is really the main thing. Yeah.
In Cypress, one of the things I talked to President Joyce about, along with a couple of the students, was the difference between a club program and a varsity program. And you've been around this deal for a while, been to a lot of these national championships. And if you go to the national championships, you see the club programs and you also see the varsity programs. And ironically enough, the varsity programs tend to be the smaller colleges, and the club teams tend to be these big D1 type brand name institutions. But there's so many benefits to being a varsity program and being part of the athletic department, and all those sort of intangibles that come along with the varsity program. Can you comment on that as well, as far as the importance of this being a varsity program at Brevard College?
Yeah, it makes a huge difference having that support from the school. Going to an event when it's nationals all the way out in California or upcoming in Washington, having the backing from the school to make it all the way out there and come back and have the atmosphere that we've had has really been incredible, and the students really appreciate it, and it goes a long way. It's hard because I think in some schools you kind of see that and it's taken for granted, but this group has really been super appreciative and really been really stoked on that. So yeah, having that varsity distinction has really been big. So.
Very nice. Well, would like to recap from you all's perspective, because we did it plenty, with the students, the actual national championships this time around. Big Bear Lake, California. Can we start there? What that venue was like, what the, setting was like, what it was like maybe traveling to that part of the country.
Yeah, trips like that are always they're adventures, without a doubt. This year we had the fortune that both Cypress and I were able to travel with the students there and back. We had Zach Loudon, a former student of ours, actually drove the equipment out and back, which is a massive feat because that's very far, of course. But they really are. I mean, they're great experiences for the students, and it's something that we always are fighting to make sure it's possible financially for us to make that happen, because we think it's a really important aspect of the student, like the elite student athlete experience of the students we have here. Big Bear is a great venue, honestly, and the event ran very well. It is at elevation, which I think for schools such as us that we have some elevation here, but relatively we're sea level. I think kind of for any school below 6,000 feet, elevation is sea level. So I think it is a little bit more difficult for our students, and some of them especially, to acclimate or try to acclimate
in short time, right? You
landed
the day before the event really started.
Yeah. So it's not that much time, in the terrain out there is very different than what we have around here. So, most of our events that we race in our conference are a lot of rolling hills. We have a lot of roots and often mud, rocky, like Pisgah, like DuPont stuff around here, just the East Coast type of riding, a lot of greenery. And out there it's dirt that's, just brown powder, basically, and a lot of it is very, very loose, extremely dry. So much so that, students are, when they're finished racing, they're coughing up. They're probably still coughing up dust from those races right now. But yeah, as an overall venue, it was very good. Those weeks, they feel like are very, very packed. Fortunately, we had, like I mentioned, we had Zach out there. We also had Wes Dixon, and we had Thad Walker, who is the original coach of the cycling team, who now lives out in California. So we had a lot of different people involved on, boots on the ground there helping us, and because it's nonstop. I mean, the students are racing, practicing, napping, eating. Everything has to be as much as we can, if we're shooting for success and the best possible performances there, then we have to have everything in line ahead of time for it. So it's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of talking about courses, recon. But yeah, as an overall event, it definitely ran very well. Very different than what our students are used to seeing. I mean, cross country especially, for example, has a 40-minute climb each lap in that. And it's just a lot of consistent, especially the elevation. You kind of add all of that in there. And schools like ours, from regions where we are, it's very different, and that's why one of the benefits of there is absolutely such a thing as sort of a home course advantage in a lot of ways. If you're from a mountain school and you're used to that kind of riding, and it's going to be an easier transition, like, similar to when we had nationals here in West Virginia, we were kind of used to that riding, and it favored us a little bit more, I'd say, in that point. But overall, I think it just shows how well-rounded the team is, because we have like you mentioned, we have a relatively small travel roster we took to nationals compared to a lot of these other larger varsity programs. So it really speaks volumes to, Cypress and I were blown away. Once again, not surprised, but we were blown away by the performances just across the board, because they all did almost everything, which is very unique.
Yeah. Cypress, a big part of the overall results came as a result of, in specific, Tyler Clark, Carson Beckett, and Tyler Orshell getting out of their comfort zone and performing in big ways in those gravity events. Can you talk about, as someone who's been around this for so long, how tough that is? If you're a guy who's like, pretty much a cross-country type, and then suddenly you're like, hey, I'm gonna score high in gravity too.
Yeah, it's huge. What those guys did is truly impressive, and to the level that they performed in, really what you'd consider their off discipline is truly amazing. I raced Omnium a couple years while I was in school, and it totally detracted from my performance in cross country and short track, because you're doing downhill practice, you're doing dual slalom practice, you're doing those other races, and it just makes the whole weekend like crazy hectic. And those guys were just kind of seamlessly from one thing into the other, and like really calm demeanor the whole time, and had very impressive results. As a team, those guys included, I think the whole weekend really kind of exceeded our expectations in a lot of ways. So.
Yeah, and the results speak for themselves. Just big numbers in terms of top tens, podiums, third place overall Team Omnium, individual national championship in the Omnium for Tyler Clark, and certainly being able to perform multi-discipline like that was a big part of it. But Brad, what I'd like you to comment on, because another big part of the overall score came from the women's side, and the women's team, considerably upgraded this year compared to what we've seen in the recent past, and really a great group of female racers scoring points.
Yeah. So this year we took 7 women, which for us is massive. We talked about it multiple times that we've never taken near that number to a national championship before. So that alone was really exciting. But the performances that all of the women had across the disciplines was really inspiring and encouraging, especially, Eliza Tobias, for example, started racing mountain bikes this fall. So she came in as someone who is a very fit athlete. Of course, she's very well-versed in cyclocross and a little bit of road, but having the opportunity in this environment here with our program for her to jump into mountain bike and train really hard for it and work hard for it in the few months she had leading up to this particular event was pretty neat to see, because I think, in her, for example, this summer she would have said, no way am I racing mountain bikes at all. So to see that turn around, but yeah, across the board with all the girls, we had some injuries coming into nationals, which were a little bit nerve-wracking, I'd say, for the men and women, for that matter. But they really stepped up, and to see on top of the performances on the race course, to see, Cypress had mentioned it too, but just the attitude in the ways that they chose to conduct themselves, and the focus they displayed, and the team support of each other, because there were a lot of bad luck issues too that just happened. It's a very steady bunch, and it's because they're all so tightly knit, and they are lifting each other up and looking ahead. They have they had some big goals for the weekend, which we were thrilled about, and they definitely have a lot more too upcoming. Yeah.
A couple more results I would like to recap with you all. The team relay, a big performance that, Hannah Arnsman, Emma Schwab, Tyler Clark, and Carson Beckett. Hannah was half laughing and half relieved that she didn't have to run 2 legs this time around in the team relay, thanks to Emma. A great result, a second place finish, another strong result in team relay. Cypress, would you like to comment on that one?
Yeah, that group is very impressive in team relay. If you look at the results, the rest of the weekend in short track and cross country, I think a lot of people could, almost write the team off as not being quite up there, but all of those individuals are able to kind of punch above their weight for just doing a one lap all out, like 3, 4, 5 minute effort. They're really good at that, and they really kind of come together as a team and are able to make some really great results in that event, which is really cool. And the whole team's out there with them too, even though there's only 4 of them racing. It's like everybody else is out just losing their mind when they're going up the hill. So it's really cool to see the team get together in a team event in that way.
And I would like to talk about the downhill just a little bit more because, we mentioned Carson and Tyler Rochelle and Tyler Clark and their ability to get in there. Carson ends up finishing 10th, which was, enormous. And then on the women's side, Rochelle Peugeot, a newcomer to the Tornadoes, finishes 5th, and Hannah Arnsman 11th. I mean, big-time results in the downhill for the Tornadoes.
Yeah, that was really, really exciting, too. We mentioned the men's, and that was honestly just kind of we were just sort of floored, honestly, watching that one. I mean, we know what they're capable of course, but like Cypress mentioned, by the time that our men got to that downhill event, and Hannah too, and a lot of our girls, they're racing all events as well. So, I mean, by the time they even get there, it's the last day already. They're exhausted. But yeah, with Rochelle being able to hop on that podium in the 5th spot was really exciting and really motivating, I think, for her as well. For next year, she was, I believe, 7 seconds or so off the title winning time, and that's after coming straight off of her injury, essentially, that happened at the World Championships. So I don't want to call that a cold race for her, but she was
about as close as you get to one at least.
Yeah, she just sort of made the best of it. But so it was really exciting to see that, and I know she has some big goals for next year, absolutely. But and then Hannah was on a borrowed downhill bike that she had never ridden before that weekend, and did what Hannah does. So yeah.
And I'd be remiss if I don't celebrate a little more with you guys the men's varsity individual omnium national championship. Tyler Clark wins the whole thing, but also big results, and also on the podium there, 3rd place Carson Beckett, 4th place Tyler Rochelle. So 3 Tornadoes making up those 5 spots up there, and Tyler Clark, another individual national championship for Brevard College.
Yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, we liked that podium. There's a lot of Brevard blue up there. Yeah.
Very nice. Last thing, I tried to get Carson and Hannah Arnsman, to put it all in perspective, because they completed their senior season as mountain bike racers here at Brevard College. Of course, they'll race in cyclocross coming up, and maybe some road action as well. But hey, they're mountain bikers first and foremost, correct? Carson and Hannah, and they put a bow on their collegiate careers at this national championships. Can each of you comment on those two and just how special they've been throughout their career here at Brevard?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how we would, honestly. Those two have been tremendous pillars in our program and the growth that we've been able to keep trying to cultivate here. And Hannah's, she's raced everything for us, like literally everything from all 3 disciplines, but also within each main discipline, she's raced, even the gravity events and all that. And she came in as a cyclocross and road racer, and cross is still her primary objective, but she picked up on everything just for the benefit of helping the team, and kind of followed the lead of a lot of the girls that when she was a freshman that were the upperclassmen at the point. And and then Carson, the same for him. He hasn't really done much road, but the contributions that he's made on the mountain and cross side are massive. But more importantly, I would say too, for both of them, really their impact in the team, leading by example and all that. Like, they both were pretty much, I think I would consider them both to be team leaders from when they were freshmen, honestly. Just the way they hold themselves, and it makes our jobs easier because they're able to set the tone a little bit, and all these new students coming in, they can learn from them, and it doesn't hurt that they're some of the top U23 racers in the country too. But
Yeah, I mean, I think those two I don't think there's anybody that's made a bigger impression on the team in the recent years, whether it's on the bike or off the bike. They're totally with it when they're riding or when they're, at school or when they're traveling in the summer and, kind of trying to recruit for the team as well. So there's a lot of aspects that they've, really been a very big piece of the program recently. So it's hard to see them going, but it's been an awesome run with both of them.
Well, would like to cap off tonight with a little bit of talk about the other disciplines that are coming up. And, what's pretty amazing is if you date back to the last 3 national championships that Brevard was involved with, there's been a national champion at each of them. Team relay at last year's Cyclocross in Louisville, individual Omnium championship by Scott McGill in Augusta in the road national championships, and now Tyler Clark in the mountain bike national championship. So a great stretch run here, from discipline to discipline, from national championships to national championship. Next up, cyclocross in Tacoma, Washington, which is going to be another long trip for you guys. However, I know there's a lot of optimism and a lot of excitement that the Tornadoes can make a lot of noise up there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's, we're always going to go to these events looking to have the best possible. Our main objective always is the team classification, the team Omnium. And that's what every collegiate team hopes and shoots for. Is the title they want to get. But there's also something really special and significant about being able to take back in your van on the plane ride in your team bus one of those national title jerseys, regardless of where it comes from, because they all view it as it should be, which is the case. It's still a team win. Like when Scott won his, when we had the team relay, when we had Tyler Clark's victory a couple weeks ago. So that's something really, really special. But yeah, we're definitely shooting for the team title. Is any of the students, I have no doubt their answer on that one. If you ask them what their thoughts are looking ahead to cross nationals, I think it's exciting. We'll just need some things to go our way, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things need to fall in line. There's a lot of luck as well going into those weekends, but the team's very fired up for cross. They were super excited for mountain bike nationals when they went to mountain bike nationals and performed incredibly well. And then at the end of that trip, you could kind of see in a lot of them just an instant kind of like click and switch, like, all right, it's cross season, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go crush some cyclocross races. So they're raring to go.
Yeah, and an opportunity for anyone local here to see the team in action at the Hendersonville event, which is coming up before we know it. Can you tell folks a little bit about that, just so they kind of maybe gear up a little bit for that one?
Yeah, so that one's held right in Jackson Park, which is 35 or so, 40 minutes from campus here. But it's also held in conjunction with a pretty large regional cyclocross race. It's actually on the national calendar, international calendar, I guess is the more correct term. So it will draw a really strong professional field there as well. So they'll have every kind of racing from amateur, the most basic beginner categories, all the way up through the UCI Elite International Pros there, which is really exciting. But then, of course, we have, in conjunction with that, we have all of our collegiate categories racing too. So we'll have a mixture that day of our students, those 2 days, of our students racing. A handful of them will do the UCI, like International Pro race, but it'll be a mixture. There'll be a lot of collegiate categories out there, and it's also our home race, so it's extra motivation too for them to want to really go out and hammer in a good result for the collegiate race too. Hopefully the last couple of years the weather's been terrible. Well, depending on your opinion, it's been terrible, I think. We've had a lot of snow, but hopefully this year it's a little bit nicer. But yeah, it's the most spectator friendly cycling event you can go and watch. You can stand in one spot and see 80% of the course and of the race, and it's all head-to-head racing. It's elbow to elbow, really fun, exciting, and just the event itself is a large event, so it draws some good spectators and some good racing, and yeah, it's a good experience for the students, absolutely. But yeah,
very good. Before we sign off, Coach Purley, I just want to give you the opportunity to thank any of your sponsors and all the folks that may have helped in not only this effort for the national championship, but just the day to day, month in, month out for the cycling program.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot more than I could ever even think of unless I had about an hour here to sit down. But I mean, there are, of course, the school here, the athletic department, you all here, and the work you do absolutely is much appreciated. The whole school, like we said, in itself, just showing the support has been massive. We have, we have a lot of folks that support the team at different levels. And parents, of course, but Sycamore Cycles is one of our huge sponsors, and especially with Wes, the owner, being out at Nationals this year was a huge help to us in, even bringing spare parts and all that stuff, because we blow through all that every single event. So that was a huge help as well. So Wes and Sycamore Cycles, definitely. We have a Rise energy drink, is a close friend of ours that's from South Carolina, and he's a big team supporter as well. But IDAF events, Daphne Kirkwood, she puts on the students actually volunteered at last weekend at a trail running race. She's a local race promoter for all sorts of activities, but those are sort of the main ones. And I could keep naming people for a while. There are a lot of folks that have a hand absolutely in the success of the team this year and over the years. But there are a lot of folks involved for sure. So we're very much appreciative.
It's certainly team effort, in so many ways, not just, like you said, the individual national championship for Tyler Clark. It's a team effort behind that, but then it just keeps on mushrooming out from there. And it's been a lot of fun to cover the sport, from Joseph and I's perspective. And we're looking forward to even more this season, as we continue to march through cyclocross before we know it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, hey, head coach Brad Purley and assistant coach Cypress Gorey, thanks for joining this special edition of Tornado Talk live from the Harvest Fest, where we honored the mountain bike team for the Tornadoes as they return from the national championships. We'll see you at the next Brevard College Athletics event. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.